What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Lunch with Clydesdale. It's the time we take a little break out of our workday, hang out, take a breath, do our thing. Still fighting this sinus infection. Bear with me today. I'm hoping I can get through this unscathed. But yeah, we'll get through some stuff. I'm going to throw a dart first. Here we go. Jeez. I just need to give up. So yeah, we got Craig and Jody already in the chat. Good to see you guys. It is CrossFit Games week for the age groups here in Columbus. It's crazy, all the DMs I'm getting asking for referrals, for gyms, for food, for things to do. It's been a lot of fun kind of reconnecting with some of my master's friends, especially, but really fun. And I can't wait to see everybody later this week. Last night, we had a lot of talk about the programming for the age group CrossFit Games. Hiller put out a video, about an hour ago, giving his feelings about it, and they were not good. The thing that's crazy about this, every year, they put out the programming. Hiller says it's bad. They get defensive. It's a back and forth. But every year we end up in the same spot. Every year we end up in the exact same spot we were the year before, where you have this programming that's not finding the fittest. It's very biased. And then here we got to fight through all this stuff, right? Hiller said in his video that this is the heaviest programming he has seen at a major event. What is one of the biggest problems we have in the age group games, especially the Masters, is PED use. If you continue to program heavy, what are you going to continue to see to combat the heavy? You're going to continue to see more PED use, more PED cover up, and more sketchiness as to whether this person truly is or is not the fittest in the world for that age group. It's one thing to have a competition like Legends, and you can program it however you want. But when you're talking about the CrossFit Games, you're trying to find the fittest person on earth. And with that comes a responsibility that the programming should be non-biased and more balanced to be able to find the best people for each age group. John George, the programming is bad. CrossFit needs to take it over. Why can't Dave kick someone to follow or mimic what he programs? Yeah, I actually said this to Carolyn and Jamie this morning on our text string. Why don't you use that to build a bench of programmers? And that way you keep the connection with the CrossFit Games, and maybe Boz does them for a year. Then maybe the next year Boz does half, and you bring on a new person to do some of that. And then you have people that can be elevated as people leave to program all of CrossFit in different capacities, instead of having just one programmer for everything. You know, we have 1 year where Boz did it, so we have someone with experience other than Dave now. But for years, we really didn't. Why not use the age group games or the adaptive games as a way to build your bench so that in the future you have someone to take over those things? That only really makes sense to me. And why can't you kind of mimic what's happening at the elite CrossFit Games for the Masters and the age groups? Why can't you take the workouts that were done in Albany and take 8 of them or 9 of them and then scale them appropriately for each age group. And that way, then the same test is being given to all levels. I don't know. Maybe that just makes too much sense. I don't know. Shanna says, I love the games Boz programmed. A lot of people looking back are looking back on that very fondly, that he did a very, very good job. I think he's remembered for some of the crazy stuff he did, like the crossover double unders, which we brought back this year, different things like that. But I really think, yeah. John George, age group programming has been trending toward a strength bias for years. Look at the athletes. They're typically bigger and stronger with some clear mobility issues. Gymnastics is sparse. Yeah, I think that's exactly what Hiller said. Almost to a T. You and him are right on the same page. So there's that going on in the space right now. At 1:30 p.m., Bob Jennings is going to be Eastern time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Bob Jennings is going to be on with Get With the Programming, talking about the Masters programming. We'll see what happens there. We'll see if they push back on him at all with the programming, or if they just let him speak and give his reasonings for. Shanna, the games this year is a reflection of Bob. I truly think that that he programs games that he would be good at. Bob is a former games athlete. I think he programs these for what he would be good at. Jody Lynn, I didn't realize PEDs were rampant in Masters. All of the positive tests came from the Masters last year. And there were others there that it was quite obvious they were using and somehow got around the test. It's a hard thing to capture in the Masters group because there is an allowable amount of testosterone that men with low T can take, and it's okay. So at what point is okay? You have a line that can be blurred. That's the best way to put it. But the guys that popped last year were using like the whole pharmacy. They weren't using just testosterone. And if you go back into my behind the scenes, 3 of them I interviewed before I knew they popped. Then they popped, and then they look ridiculous saying what they said after it was found out that they had popped. Aaron Fraser says machines have made all programming skew toward bigger athletes. Well, I think you have to then balance it with gymnastics, and there are no gymnastics in this year's age group CrossFit Games. Maybe one workout out of the 8 is a gymnastics workout. So there it is. I don't want to go on about that. We hit that pretty hard last night. We'll see how it plays out this week. But it's very disheartening for my 2 co-hosts, where Carolyn Prevost is one of the most well-rounded athletes in the CrossFit space at the elite level and really should dominate the CrossFit Games at the age group level. And it's iffy because of the programming where she's going to be in this whole mix. So that's going to be crazy. And Jamie's admitted that she is more of a gymnastics endurance athlete. And this programming is not good for her. And we'll see. She is so fit that she'll probably overcome some of that. But who knows at what level that will happen. So tune in, find out this week. I'll be down there all weekend. I'm going to try to do lunch shows from there if I can find a quiet spot to kind of perch up with my iPad and at least talk to you guys for 15, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if I can while I'm down there. So that is the plan this week. Jose, Bears looking good last night. They looked really good last night. As a Bears fan, long-suffering Bears fan, I don't know if we've had an offense ever that looked as good as they did last night. Having an offensive coordinator and a head coach who knows what he's doing is amazing. Both Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent looked phenomenal. The way Tyson Bagent looked last night, I wouldn't be surprised if teams are trying to get him on their roster to possibly be a starter. It's going to be an interesting year. I'll leave that at that. But as soon as the show was done last night, I went up, fast forwarded through the first half, so I could catch everything I could. And I had goosebumps. I was so giddy, but I've been there before. We'll see how it all plays out coming up. So now to the main topic of the show. And this all kind of started last week. I was driving home from my doctor's appointment, and I was listening to the Outside the Box podcast with Caitlin and Mesa, and I got all triggered. So it started there, and then Friday night, I started to watch the Netflix documentary on Fit for TV, The Biggest Loser Story. And all of that just made me think about the misconceptions people have about fat people. So if you don't know my story, I started this whole thing at somewhere over 500 pounds, probably 525, 530. I walked into a CrossFit gym back in 2011. I didn't walk in. I was brought in by my next door neighbor who owned a CrossFit gym. Brought in. Murph was on the board. We did Murph. And that day changed my life forever. I ended up losing well over 200 pounds, got down to 260, was living life great. I think I probably wasn't doing it right, but I was really living life. I was playing flag football with 20-year-olds in my late 40s. I was playing softball. I was doing a lot of stuff that I hadn't done in forever. And then the back injury happened and everything went off the rails. And we'll talk about that at some point. I don't know if today's the day. So I was that person who everybody says is too intimidated to walk into a CrossFit gym. And what got me started is I'm listening to Mesa talk about the new CrossFit marketing campaign, and that Forging Elite Fitness and Pukey the Clown were too hardcore to allow diversity into the CrossFit gyms. What I want to say to that is, I don't think people understand the mindset of a fat person. They think they need to be coddled. They do not. They do not. Plus, we're all different. We all have different views of things. It'd be just like saying that a black man would be intimidated to walk into a CrossFit gym. No, some would, some wouldn't, depending on them and their character and their upbringing and their personality. It's going to vary. A fat person is the same way. The greatest thing that ever happened to me was walking into a CrossFit gym. And nobody coddled me in that moment. They loved on me. They said I could do it, but they didn't make it easy for me. When you're fat, and you're looking for an answer, you don't want a watered down version of the answer. You want the elite version of the answer. So I don't understand why forging elite fitness would intimidate people from walking in the door. I'm 525 pounds and I need an answer and I'm looking for answers. I want the elite answer. I want the best answer. I don't want a watered down version because you think I can't handle it. That's the stuff that got me fired up, right? And I don't know how Pukey the Clown keeps someone out of there. Let me ask you, if you've ever watched an episode of The Biggest Loser, everybody throws up on the first episode. You know, that's what Pukey the Clown represents. Everybody throws up on the first episode. Go to a casting call back in 2005 for The Biggest Loser, and the lines were around the block, knowing that you're going to come on the show and they're going to make you throw up. Fat people were looking for an answer, and they were willing to put themselves through that to get the answer. So to tell me that CrossFit's new marketing campaign, which is very much like the old campaign, is keeping people out of the box, you're out of your damn mind. Fluffy Fit. Agreed. We don't want to be coddled. We want to be part of the solution like everybody else. So much. It wasn't that I didn't know what the answer was. When I was 525 pounds, I didn't know what CrossFit was. I needed someone to say, hey, I'm doing this on Thursday. Would you come into the gym, meet me there, and I'll show you what it is, and we'll go through a workout, and we'll do it. It wasn't watered down. It was scaled appropriately. It was, this is what we're trying to do. This is why we're doing it. This is the stimulus you're going to reach, and this is going to change your life. And that is why it works. T-Bird says, some do, some don't. So she is right. That doesn't appeal to all. Not every fat person will feel the same as you. I said that when I started this, T-Bird, that it's just like any other group of people. There are going to be some people that feel that way and some don't. But I am telling you, a fat person doesn't want a mediocre version of fitness. They want elite fitness. They want an answer. To say that come for fun and happiness doesn't work. Jose Reyna, preach. John George, is this the doctor from the Barbies in the show? Yeah. If so, not shocked. They have motive and hope of CrossFit failing. I don't know about that. I do think they bring up some good points. I don't think the show is great yet. I think they're trying to do this. Why would T-Bird, why would you shortchange yourself? Why wouldn't you want elite fitness? Don't we all want the best that we can get? Like, I don't go to the store and say, well, I just want the okay version. I want the best. Matthew Murphy, it's fun and happy because you do something hard with your friends. Agreed. And I don't want to be lied to. Like the new marketing campaign that CrossFit is the cure and it's going to be hard and you're going to have to go through some stuff is just the truth. I've tried to lose weight since my 20s. And every easy way is fake and not real and doesn't work. You have to put in the work. It's just what it is. And then I watched this documentary on Friday night. And I watched all 3 episodes. I binged it all. And just to be frank, I've watched every episode of The Biggest Loser when they were on. It was hope for me for a minute. Not realizing that it wasn't realistic. I thought it was inspirational, but what they were doing wasn't real. It was for TV. But the fact that her name was, I'm terrible with names, Tracy Yukich, season 8, the first competition of the show was to run a mile on the beach. And she gave herself rhabdo. And the producer of the show said, we couldn't believe that someone was willing to push their body to that level. Well, you're underestimating these people. They're looking for an answer. They're willing to do whatever it is to stay on the show. And she pushed herself so hard because it was the only option she had that she thought could get her to lose weight, that she pushed herself beyond her limits and into rhabdomyolysis. And after the doctors even said, you should probably go home, she said, no, I want to stay. I want to see this through. That is insane. Because that is the mindset. People are looking for answers. And it's not easy. And they can't be thrown into one bucket. That I do agree with T-Bird. Not everybody's going to push their body to that level. But they're different buckets and they need to be treated differently. And going on that show, they were going to force you to throw up. They were going to give you temptations that weren't even realistic. Locking you in a room of cake, locking you in a room of sweets, and try not to eat anything. That's not realistic. Those aren't the real demons that a fat person goes through. You know, it's when you go out with friends and they're doing something and you want to be a part of it. That's the real temptation. Then they would put you through these embarrassing tasks that were going to make fat people look stupid. And then some of them overcame that. And that's why it was great TV. Jody, I've never thrown up doing CrossFit. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I've thrown up too many times. Maybe I'm just weak stomach. Actually, most of the times I throw up is when I was doing team competitions and I didn't want to let down a partner. That's where it gets me. But yeah. But people signed up for this Biggest Loser because they thought it was their only answer. When I was asked to come to CrossFit gym, I'd never heard of CrossFit. I didn't know what it was. I was brought in and shown in 2011 what it was. And I was walked through it. And it woke up something in me that nothing else ever did. All the times on a treadmill, all the times on an elliptical, thinking I had to do 5 hours of cardio to burn enough calories to get through whatever was not working. And CrossFit gave me a love for something again. And it gave me a community that really supported me and loved on me. And that affiliate will always have a special place in my heart because those people like They truly, truly cared about my success. And that's where the real victory came. Now, T-Bert says, I love the show too, but not a lot of them kept the weight off. I agree. What we find out in this documentary is it wasn't real. It was caffeine pills. It was drinking lemon juice instead of eating meals. It was under calories by way more than is suggested by anybody from the medical field. It was a competition to lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time, and it didn't stay off for most of them. And you find out at the very end of the documentary that those that you see now who look like they've kept the weight off are using other things to do that. And that is, I mean, they're using the Ozempic. They're using the GLP-1s. They're doing that to keep the weight off because they are looking for any answer to be in better shape. And it's sad. But what I thought the documentary showed is the desire that fat people had to be better. What they were willing to put their bodies through to be better. That's what it shows. The mindset of that fat person. And it struck a chord with me. Now, what I did through that time from 2011 to 2017-ish, when I had my first back injury, I was not living a balanced life. You know, we talk about balance in a lot of different things. And during that time, I was losing a tremendous amount of weight, but I was living a very extreme life by eating a lot of healthy food and going to the gym a lot. And I wasn't the best father, and I wasn't the best husband that I could be during those times. I thought I was because I was able to do more with them. Like my daughter and I would go on hikes. My wife and I would go on walks. We would do all of those things. And I thought I was being better, but because I was focused so much on myself and so much on my meal prep, so much on my meals that I was eating, so much on being at the gym a couple times a day, because of all of that, I wasn't. And now I'm having the hardest time finding the balance between the two. Like, how do I get the weight off again? Because I've gained 100 pounds back. And I want to get that off again. But how do I do that and not be a shitty husband? I mean, my daughter's off on her own now. But how do I do that and not be so obsessed by it that I stay to being a good husband? Right? And so that's where my struggle is today, because I want to find the right answer. And I'm back in that mindset of find me a solution. I'm willing to do whatever to get there. And I love CrossFit. And I want that to be a part of the solution. It's how do I find that in a way that makes sense for me and my wife? Biggest Loser method was lock you away for 6 months, consume 500 to 800 calories, and burn 6,000 to 8,000. That is fine when you are filming, but setting you up for failure in the real world. True. John George, it was truly a boot camp with zero training or education on real life health and fitness. I thought Bob nailed it. It's an addiction and will always be there. You have to learn to live with it. Ken Walters' answer to everything is ribeye. Jose Reyna, in the later seasons, the trainer Bob Harper on Biggest Loser started utilizing the CrossFit methodology himself and with the contestants. He did. He was part of Brick CrossFit in LA with, oh gosh, I can see her. Her husband is Jesse. Yeah. And he had CrossFitters on the show teaching some of the stuff. I also had the privilege a couple years back. Holly Mangold is from here in Columbus. She was on the show. She was the Olympic weightlifter that worked with Bob throughout the show. And it was really eye-opening because some of the stuff we saw on TV isn't actually what she went through while she was there. And when I talked to her, she had gained back almost all of the weight she had lost on the show. But it was really, really eye-opening as to what she had kind of gone through during that time. John George, you have to be selfish for health. Having a heart attack or poor health will leave you loved ones having to take care of you in the future. Be selfish. Just my opinion. Not obsessive, just committed. Yeah, I think I can do it with balance. It's just finding it again. But my personality is, if I'm going to do something, I usually dive in head first, full bore, all in. And that's where I've got to be careful. I can do it with one class a day, and I can do it with eating. Yeah. But I do believe Bob is dead on with the addiction part, and it's always going to be there. Because when I got down to 260, I told myself, never again will I be. Never again will I be. And sure enough, I was. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I feel like I'm at a point in my life where if I'm not perfect, man, the weight comes back on so fast. So fast. So Megan Bauman, you hit the nail on the head. Mama 5 here, 2 have special needs. Balance is crucial, but I still struggle with it. It is. I think that's the hardest part is I don't want to make excuses of metabolism or habit or whatever. But what I do want to say is, like, I really have to be dialed in. Like, it has to be dead on, almost no exceptions for me to have success. And if I'm not, so then I start teetering back to that obsession. And that's really where I struggle a lot, is finding the line that makes life okay as well as fitness okay. Shanna, that is my new life challenge, is to find balance. I'm not saying I'm not looking for it. I'm just saying it's hard. It's very, very hard to do. But all things great are hard. Like, life wasn't meant to be easy. But yeah. But I just wanted to focus on the fact that watching these shows and hearing what people are saying is that I feel like they just lump fat people into one bucket and that they all feel the same way. And I don't think that is the case at all. And I think if you watch this documentary and you see the veracity at which these contestants wanted to be on this show, it shows you that there are all levels of people and their desires to get healthy. But at the end of the day, I think the true success is loving on one another. And that's what happens in a CrossFit affiliate. Go in, love on one another, support each other, help you through the tough times, get you through. And that's why CrossFit is awesome. That's why the affiliates are awesome. And the coaches that own affiliates are awesome. So, T-Bird, I think that's what Mesa was trying to say. I don't think that's what she was trying to say. I think that she, in some aspects, wants to water down what CrossFit is and thinks that will attract more people to the affiliates. And I disagree with that. I think that it's okay to be elite. It's okay to be hard. It's okay to be a gym, but it has to be combated with the love of the owner of the affiliate and the love of the members to build a community to support people. So I think she has that last part in her dissertation, and the first part is different. So anyway, that's my little monologue on The Biggest Loser. It is a good an eye-opening documentary. It went by really fast. Each episode, it's only 3 episodes. Each one's maybe 30, 35 minutes, maybe somewhere in there. It goes by really fast. It was really a good watch. And it got me fired up, and hopefully that leads to some things, getting some more balance in my life in the upcoming weeks. So I think we're going to end the show there today. Don't forget, tomorrow I'll be back here, and then I'll be releasing the Hattie Canyo episode 1 tomorrow afternoon. And then from Wednesday on, I'm probably going to be downtown at the Masters and Teenage CrossFit Games. Again, I'll take my iPad with me. If I can find a quiet spot, we'll launch the show from there. Who knows? Maybe I'll grab some people to hop on with me. We'll see. There's that. And can't wait to get down there. Hopefully this sinus infection is all gone by the time Wednesday rolls around. Megan Bauman, love when you get fired up. Wish my wife said the same thing. Anyway. Craig Pasley, cool. Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to let you guys head back to work. I'm going to head back to work as well. And we'll see everybody tomorrow on lunch with the Clydesdale. Bye, guys.